What's going on, guys? It's Jack, and we are finally back. They finally gave us some raid testing that I could make the times of. So we are back with heroic Cenarius. I'll go over some of the fight mechanics and stuff like that pretty briefly. Again, it's alpha, so it's subject to change. So there's not going to be any kind of strat video, not for a while. But I kind of want to talk about just how this fight will impact Holy Priest play, or healing play in general. So when I walked into this fight, I really thought it was a fight that Holy would dominate. I'm seeing very constant damage, as you guys will see. And I'm like, this is like Blast Furnace, it's perfect, I love it. But it didn't really turn out that way. And it's more so because Holy has changed and has a bit different of a strength. And that'll get highlighted more with the next boss videos, because I did all of the raid testing this weekend. So let's go over real quick some of the boss mechanics. You'll see in the videos that they have nice little patches of cleanse the ground. It's nice green earthy stuff, and this is what you do to drop your stacks. So this fight plays off kind of similar to Sulong from Terrace of the End of the Spring, where no matter what, you're building up these stacks of debuff that deals ticking damage, and you can cleanse it off by stepping into this cleansed ground. And now to direct where you want the cleansed ground to go, you are cleansing some of the corrupted individuals around Cenarius. So there's the Treants, there's the Wisps, there's the Laughing Sister, Corrupted Sister, and there's the Drake. So the Drake, when cleansed, will obviously not spawn the Drake to fight you, which is a nice plus, because that ad deals a lot of damage. As you see, we usually dealt with it because it was a lot better than dealing with some of the other alternatives. But when cleansed, it gives you a healing increase and makes it so that you can actually avoid taking a lethal hit, which is quite nice. Wisps will spawn cleansed ground patches here and there, which will be really nice for when your tank is off to the side with the boss, because the boss has thorns at certain points in the fight that are dealing damage back to you, so you can't actually attack the boss, or else you'll die horribly, as you will also see. Dealing with the Treants, if you cleanse the Treants, they will actually give you mana if you're standing nearby them, which is a godsend for healing on the alpha, let me tell you. And you kind of have the option of directing what you would like to cleanse by clumping all your players together, or clumping a certain amount of players together, which will direct where you cleanse. You don't have to deal with that ad. Most of the time we were dealing with the Drake, we did not cleanse the Drake. We tried with the Wisps, and the Wisps absolutely destroyed us, so we thought cleansing the Wisps was probably a pretty good idea, but we kind of experimented around. Again, we're sort of feeling out the fight in our hour and a half time frame. But into the healing is actually quite interesting for this fight, in that it's, like I said, very consistent. But Holy Priest has kind of moved away from that. And to start off with the talents, I used Apotheosis, and I switched up between Halo and Divinity, and then I used Surgeon Divine Star and Circle of Healing, and I kind of switched them all around. But what I'm finding currently is that Apotheosis, in its current form, is not quite conducive enough to allow you the ability to just spam, to even use it, You have 10 seconds with Symbol of Hope, and I'm always using Symbol of Hope. I believe it's actually just going to be super insane. And again, it's not channeled. People keep saying that. I know that what it says on the WoW DBs, but it's not channeled, as you can see in the videos. But it's just such a tremendous gain, not only for you, but for everybody else in the raid, that most classes are having large mana dumps. They have the ability to dump large amounts of mana, and I believe I'm finding more and more that this benefit is just so good for everybody that it's, there's no reason not to, unless you're running in like a 5-man, right? So I was always taking that. Surgeon Divine Star kind of worked the best for me, and I actually think any of the hundreds had some competitive benefits, but mainly Surgeon Divine Star was just such a plus because people were stacked enough, and I was able to get procs, and I was able to, continue to gain procs, and the procs are so valuable because it's free healing, and holy hell does Holy need free healing. There's so many things that cost so much mana, and are, while they're very strong, or they'll lead to something being strong. For instance, I don't think Flash Heal or Prayer Healing are particularly impressive on their own, but they lead to more of your Holy Words, which are quite impressive if you can actually use them. So, a little bit in there of just dying for more mana, dying for more of a chance to be able to spam more spells. And again, it's a little bit of a disparity between live warlords right now, where you have demonic phylactery, where you have unlimited mana. So keep that in mind. So obviously we're all spamming a little bit more than we should be, but it's interesting trying to feel things out. Palm for mending, I'll actually have my logs in the description if you want to see, but it was actually broken as hell, and I realized this after the fact. But if you took Benediction for this encounter, it probably would be overpowered, just because Prayer of Mending is broken. Now, if you don't know Benediction, Benediction gives you a 30% chance to put a Renew on a target if you heal it with Prayer of Mending. And when you have maybe 3 or 4 casts of Prayer of Mending and it's hitting 80 times, it's pretty good, considering Palm has 5 charges and averages out to 6 once you have your artifact trait. So, kind of overpowered. And I actually made use of that in the Cenarius video, which you will see later. More of the standard basic mechanics you have to deal with for this fight. A lot of it will be the roots that will be running around that'll fixate a player, make sure somebody kites it out. If somebody gets trapped in the roots, you just have to dispel them, because it deals very, very heavy damage. A lot of our mana was burnt on dispelling, so having people kiting it out is just a huge deal. It just saves so much healer mana for it. Otherwise, taking the time to clear your debuffs, letting the wisps, which we cleansed, that are spawning little, very, very small patches, which you'll see, of cleansed ground, letting those be given to the tank if he needs them, or having the ones nearby reserved for him. We usually didn't have, like I said, that many people burning the boss. I think the last clip shows us trying to burn the boss and getting destroyed by the thorns, so would not recommend. It kind of goes around to cleansing each area of the ads while you can, and then dealing with the ones that you cannot cleanse, and then switch to boss, then deal with more ads, and switch to boss, from the perspective that I'm getting so far. But again, we got about an hour-ish, and I really enjoyed the fight, and I think for Holy, and I even put it in feedback posts if you want to see, I'll put them in the description, that Holy really has found a different niche. Like, we are the single target healers, I find, much more than paladins. And it really showed on these, and in the future videos I'll show you as well, that we just have such immense power in single target that while we're still good in these kind of sustained fights, we actually have a strength now. We have like a really, really big strength. And you'll see it more in different damage patterns for different encounters, where if there's more burst damage on tanks, if there's more, patchy damage here and there, we can actually do quite well. So I'm hoping that Holy Words can get adjusted a little bit so they're a little bit more usable. Right now, Apotheosis is unplayable because in a realistic fashion, because you're going the second you cast it. It lasts for 30 seconds, and you're able to weave in 2, 3 of each Holy Word during that 30-second period, and it's insane amounts of mana. It is absolutely insane. In order to drop the price, or drop the cost of the Holy Words, the cooldown of the Holy Words enough so that you can cast more of them, it's just impossible. It's impossible. So I ran with a lot of circle feeling. Like I said, Benediction will probably work for now while it's still overpowered, but then once they fix it, probably not so much. I'm actually thinking that Benediction needs to be like doubled in strength to be usable in a nice fashion. So I hope they kind of take that into consideration. It's not a bad playstyle, going with Benediction and then casting a heal as a filler. You're kind of at a crossroads, and I'm hoping this is how it turns out, where heal or renew can be used as that filler, just depending on mobility, who needs healing, what kind of damage, and it really offers us some pretty good options. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this little quick overview of it. If you have any kind of questions, stuff like that, tweet at me at Automaticjak or anything in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time.